Welcome to a very special edition of Conversations with Cnews. I'm here at the French Ambassador's residence for the launch of the 8th annual COCO Dance Festival. COCO means the Contemporary Choreographers Collective, and earlier this week I spoke to co-founders Dave Williams and Sonja Dumas about culture versus arts and sciences and why people are so intimidated by dance. I started my conversation with a question about the budget and whether they heard anything in it that would support the creative industries.
And I don't know that the budget knows any of us, the people making the budget knows any of us, or knows what we need or what we do, or the relevance of what we need or do to our society. So I'm not connected to the budget at all.
So what do we need?
What do we need?
For dance.
No, we don't need for dance. We need for a country and a community of people, a nation. We need a lot of things. And then we'll start to understand how the other things plug in to what we are, but we're not there. So all of us just kind of suffering. This,
How do we start?
It sounds, as I get older, it sounds really papesy, but love. My mother used to say that everything, it just takes love, and love is something that you have to do really hard because it's not easy. You have to go beyond yourself to love. You can't just, I love Trinidad, I love you. It's not easy. And we have to start to really just just think about what that means, what love means, what it means to love yourself, love your country, respect each other. Just kind of start to delve into that, which, art is like maybe one of the best things, I guess. I'm not big in religion, but art and delving into yourself and expressions and ideas of what you could be or might be or was is a real good place to start with that discussion.
So is it possible that you think the government doesn't love art enough or love Trinidad enough? That's why they're not understanding that we need to develop or even understanding language?
He looks at me. I think what happened, let me give you an example. I was one of the people who wrote the curriculum for the Academy for the Performing Arts Dance program when it first began. And we implemented the program, and what I've seen as a result of that, having arts taught at a tertiary level, is a set of young, thinking, active arts professionals that have graduated. And while the program may not have been perfect, it certainly showed me that there's a need for somebody, or well, maybe the government might be a private university, what have you, but there is a need for people to teach it at that level, for people to take it seriously. But you need to take it seriously from the primary level, so that people grow up into thinking artists or thinking about art in a sophisticated way. So you may not become an artist, but you may understand and appreciate it. And I think that has been lost or has been missing from the agenda. I know they have arts programs that have been introduced in the last 10, 13 years, what have you. But the fact is that was actually a little too late. It should have happened maybe from independence. And then we would have had a thinking artist sort of environment. While we have, in the general sense of the population, understanding it. So while there's some people who do tremendous work, and we have world-class artists, and we know that, and we celebrate them when the world celebrates them, we have a set of artists here that are growing and budding, and they need support. We who are not we're not young artists, we're established in our field, but we also need the support. And what has to happen is people have to understand what kind of infrastructural support we need, and then they have to let us do it ourselves. They cannot put their hand in it and say we have to make art this or that. It's not a prescriptive thing. And I think that if people understood that, I think we would go a long way. That's my thought about it. It's not that art is not happening. We have art all around. We have a fantastic carnival. We have tremendous expressions of art, both traditional and contemporary. But they happen in silos, and they happen with people struggling, and they're doing it against so you're a salmon swimming upstream kind of thing. And it doesn't need to be that. And then if they're going to have a cultural policy, I would say that is maybe not as informed as it should be. It should be a cultural development policy, because we have culture. You don't need a policy for that. You need a policy to develop what you have if you are thinking about it in economic terms, because culture is going to happen whether you have a policy or not. So that's not what we need. We need somebody, or need some thinking people. Again, I come back to that word, because people will throw out words and throw out statements and catchphrases that mean nothing to the arts community. But if you have thinking people looking at what the development really entails, and then you have people to implement it, because again, you might have intelligent statements made and nobody doing anything about it. And it doesn't take a lot. And that is what I think. I'm going on and on and on, but this is what, because I'm passionate about it. I have the love for it, so it's important to me.
But two terms that we use that we have to get rid of or rethink: culture and support, because support, we don't need support. I've been saying that recently. We don't need support. We work very hard at doing what we're doing for years and improving our talent, and we're working, and there's something that we're putting there for people to come participate in. To complete this work, you need an audience. Now, the audience doesn't come support art. The audience is nourished by art. So in yourself, in our society, if there isn't that nourishment, that component of a society where art is a safe space. So this is a studio, we can discuss, propose almost anything inside of here. Propose, say, and consider, what if, maybe if we look at this or look at this or this impossible, this crazy, it's not real. And in the art space, you're safe to explore any old thing. And when you leave, there's reality outside, and you might be able to take some ideas with you, or some feelings, or some movement, or etc. But that safe space for society, like a human being, inside yourself, you should be comfortable with yourself to examine your thoughts and ideas. And if a society doesn't have art as this thing where it's in itself, it can look at itself comfortably and safely. This is how we look at things, this is how we do things, and safe, and consider what we do, how we look at things, how we see things. We think that's pretty, but that's really ugly. We really don't like the anthem in truth. We should sit down. Whatever it is a safe space. And that's why around the world people go to great extremes to protect that safe space, because it's your society's little private space to think and consider. And if Carnival is not a safe space no more, I think, because of Facebook and everything is out, and is no longer where you pretend to be somebody and you get away with this safe space thing, and you're safe, and Ash Wednesday, ting, and everybody pretended they didn't know it was you doing that. The safe space is breaking down, because now it's followed up on Facebook. It's not so safe anymore. But if we don't protect those mechanisms in a society and those spaces, religion and all of those things, we have to understand how those things fit into society, and where as a unit, how we draw. So it's not support. There's what psychologically, we're a part of an organism. All right. So it's not support. It's not your charity you're doing. It's not charity. We don't need charity, because we work, we train, we sweat. The other night in Noble's show, a dancer, she fell, hit her head on the ground, couldn't continue with the show. We work is stuff. It's not charity. It's not like we're doing nothing and we can't do nothing and we handicap.
It's like, the whole thing, the notion of culture is going to happen regardless. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. People are going to do things. If anybody wants to quote-unquote support or whatever, if that word has to come into it, it's about supporting the psychological space as well, which means that you allow me to take risks, and you're not going to sanction me for that, okay? Because I'm taking a risk. And so an artistic risk, that's how the pan started. There was an artistic risk. They whisked some oil drums away from where they shouldn't have. It was a risk. Okay.
Science too, huh?
So the fact is that you have to allow people to take their artistic risk, to flourish under that. Not everything is going to be a success, but that's the whole point. The point is it's a process of elimination and experimentation, and that will then take it to another level. And I think that's how the art that has come out of Trinidad and Tobago, that people know about in other parts of the world, including other islands of the Caribbean, that is how that happened. Minstrel took risks, but artistic ones.
I don't like culture, I like arts and sciences, because arts and sciences is the R&D, the research and development part of a society, where you take those risks and some things work and then they're adopted by the society, fashion, all kinds of things, and then they end up in the society, music and things might be pushing the envelope, but then they end up being a normal part of society. So it's the research and development arm of the society, which is very, very important, the arts and sciences, both. And you have to fund things that fail, like spaceships that don't, rockets that don't go up, and that they fall, and they still falling, you know.
Yeah.
And money still, real money still, and they still every now and again. But so that's the wonderful, sweet adventure that is art. You have to, and science, not culture. Culture is solutions to problems that can be passed on to another generation. That's culture. Anything. So language, the way we walk, the way we cook, you could put more salt in that, you could put whatever that. Any solution that a group of people has that you can pass on is culture. That's really broad and big, but arts and sciences, for a society to move forward, that's where you start, you push. And sciences occur from accounting, all the medicine, everywhere, development of apps, theater. So those advancements.
The thing is, no one has ever, I don't think ever, asked me after, outside of the Caribbean or outside of Trinidad and Tobago, how many oil rigs I had in my country. Nobody, ever. Not to say it's not important to support this society, but nobody has defined me in terms of the number of oil rigs that I have in my country. They have asked me what music does my country have, what art does my country have, what dancing does my country have, what festival, and what sport. Yeah, okay? But I've never heard, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, nobody has ever asked me how many oil rigs I have.
So what are we afraid of? Because you were talking about we need to protect our safe spaces, and I mentioned earlier Ms. McBurney's house, and then you were saying that we need to not control the way that we're thinking.
You see, control the way you're thinking, when you start to attach that to politics and the ability to control the way people think, contemporary art and art would be a problem to politics, because it unleashes a lot of thinking. So the less of that you have in a society, the less of that art and that free thinking and etc., the more controllable that is, the more manageable it is for, business and politics. But it's not good economics though, because you will just always have less and less and less and less, and you will be cutting off your nose to spoil your face or spite your face or whatever the saying is.
We seem to be a very creative country. Is that potentially a headache for government or politics?
It's for strange politicians. I know, communism, if you look at communism all the way through the history of communism, it's always been the first thing that you have to get rid of. You have to get rid of the free thinking art people thing, kill them if you need to. That's what they did, communist people, that you get rid of them people, and then you go and you maybe if you're in arts, you study the folk arts and the classical arts, not much room inside of there for that free thinking thing, and you control that. And the sciences, you own that, right? So you take that out of the society and you control it. So I'm not saying that we're communists, but if we had a communist dictator step right into we would be very happy to take it over.
Now, when during the election, the Prime Minister spoke about we need to change the syllabus, we need to, make it more local and stuff like that. Are you seeing any signs that, and we also purchased the Casabons last December, and they were on display, I think that has recently ended. Are we starting to showing at least a little signs of positivity where the support of culture, if not art so much?
I don't buy it.
I'm a little more optimistic. I'll give you that you've done one good thing, and I'm happy that's happened, and I'm looking forward to more. So I also hear in the budget that they are going to look at the quote unquote not so magnificent 7 at this point, and that is another indicator. If you actually have a solution to that and you actually restore it, then I'll start to believe. So that's my challenge to whoever is planning to do that. And why I say that is because again, if you're going to, let's talk cultural development or arts development or whatever you want to call it. Those buildings owned by the government, whichever ones are owned or supported by the government, what have you, those are a potential, I don't know, gold mine in terms of tourism, income, etc. But they've been lying fallow for how long, I don't know. Okay, I've lost track at this point. But so if you're going to restore, and the architectural history of Trinidad and Tobago is a very important one, especially in the context of the Caribbean development, etc. So I think they should be maintained. They also are under a particular law that says nothing else can be built there because they're a heritage area. So please restore it. Then I'll start to have some faith, because then I know you're serious about cultural development. So I'm not even talking dance, I'm talking again, it's a general country thing. Let people see that they can actually see. A dance concert might come and go over a weekend, but for this one, they can actually see the building there. They can see it restored to its former glory or what have you. They can walk the halls, they can talk to their children about it, they can say, well, this is what happened in so-and-so time, 1901, 1900, whatever. And I think, again, the Casabones was an excellent start, an entree into that, and I hope to see more. Soon.
I was in Italy a time, and I had a big experience. And someone told me it wasn't true. But the man said, this was in Torino, the man said that Jesus walked here. There's a road, a couple kind of old road. Not that I ain't religious. And I watched the road. And I watched the road, and I started to cry, and a little bit I cried, and then it went into I couldn't stop, and that whole, and tears and snot and everything, and because I'm watching the road, and I'm thinking I never had an experience connecting me to anything that old, where I came from, to anything that line of history connecting you to something so far back. I don't even have pictures. I know my grandparents. I don't know much before that. And we have a society of that where you're cut off. We have a whole world of history, and we allowing ourselves this much. And then even inside of this little history that we have, we chopping things off. We still chopping things off and throwing things away. So you're only this Chinese people, Japanese people, American people, white people, have all kind of thing connecting them back to this. And we here, as a lot of indentured and slave people already cut off with this, still chopping things off. We have people this long, and we just there doing this
and
all the time.
We have a history that's that
we're
long.
chopping it
We
off.
just don't acknowledge it in the way that other people do.
So when our people speak, I don't hear them, because I don't hear the consideration about these things, the soul of these things, the reality of these things. I hear we go put some money here, and it go make tourism this, and go make no tourism. Inside ourselves, we are limiting our insides, not tourists, and giving ourselves rubbish.
Yeah, but I'm talking about local tourism first.
Yeah.
The fact is, you have to get your own people interested in it.
I've never been to me.
Yeah.
I've been to da-da-da-da-da,
yeah,
but
I've been to
never
Paradise,
been
but I've never been.
we had a beat a wee. We had a beat a wee.
And the irony is, when you tell people about certain heritage points, just tell them little facts and figures, they're amazed. I was having a conversation with somebody about Carnival and the origins of Carnival and how it dated back to the 1780s or whatever it is in terms of its origins. And people were like, you're serious? I'm like, you didn't know that? You older than me and you didn't know that? Okay. And I old, I'm not young.
But
okay.
Peter Minshall makes a comparison.
So the fact is that, but that's the thing. The fact is that you don't have enough people a critical mass of people understanding how profound our history is. It's fantastic.
And it's not, when you talk about local education, I don't hear that either. In the world where the world is now, the world is not thing. But our history as humans did not start when we arrival day thing. Our history is as old as any other humans all humans have a common same length of history. So people will say we are a young country. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means.
We're a young nation, not
Right?
a young
So on
space.
paper we have that, but all humans have the same length. It's just that we're not connecting to it. And if we start to go only this local thing, we are not local humans. We are humans of this world.
But there is an American identity and a British identity, and they're very much in the business of marketing their Americanness.
They know what
or
it is, though.
Britishness, or even Jamaicanness.
They know what it is.
What is it?
And they trust it. They know what their stuff is, and they explore it. You see it in their music, you see it in their media, you see it in their etc. They are constantly exploring it, and that's why I know so much about, like we say, Marilyn Monroe, and that's why I know more about Bob Marley. Because they are exploring and exploring
Here's
and
the question
exploring.
I need to ask people who think about these things, right? So I keep hearing that if we develop culture,
It's
so
not
many
about COCO yet.
amazing... Clearly, I'll have to put it, I'll work it in, because we talk about you buff ma.
No.
It's a more ask a simple question, I can do the backup, so I'll do the backup, so,
sorry.
right? But about Jamaica, we keep hearing that if we develop culture and arts and all of that, the shortfall in the economy, we'll fill it, and we wouldn't have crime, and we'll do all that kind of stuff. Jamaica kind of disproves that, doesn't it?
Of course,
Well, Jamaica's not
disproves
perfect.
That. Of course it disproves that.
Because
But the
they
fact
actually
is,
have a cultural policy which we don't have.
the
Right.
fact is, lots of people have culture. Again, it's the basis. I think what Jamaica, I'm not familiar with that theory that you just espoused, but the fact is that it's quite likely that it is not, it's in contravention of that theory, because there's a lot of high crime in Jamaica and so forth, and it has a lot of culture. But what the Jamaican people have, and that I think is what Dave is talking about, being to you, right, as opposed to being to whatever else. There's a confidence there about Jamaican-ness that the Jamaicans have, that the Trinidad and Tobago, maybe other people in the Caribbean, I don't know, I can only speak for us, for our country, miss on a certain level, okay? And I think the same thing happens with the British culture, the American culture. There's an insecurity that we seem to hold on to that places like Jamaica, the United States, and the Europe may not. Those are for many historical reasons, because we developed differently in a historical way from Jamaica, with different people coming to the island and the times that they came and why they came, etc. So again, if we have to revisit that, if we have to rethink our society, we have to start there and look to our own insecurities and understand why is it that we have these notions of, well, we have to do it like so-and-so or like so-and-so. We don't. We have to do it the way we do it. Okay, and we have to be confident that that's okay. All right? Again, I didn't say we were perfect. I just said that what we are is okay.
Yes, and that's the thing to explore in arts and sciences, and media is arts and sciences, and people in media. That's the blood. Media is the blood that connects us, the information pathway. Because I wouldn't know. In fact, I don't even know if Donald Trump real. I never see him in my life. But the media, that blood, that in the modern society is that tells me that he is there, right? I don't even know all kind of things, all part of Trinidad I never see. I don't know that it's true. But the media brings it, the books, the journalism, etc. brings it to me, and that's how I know that my people are there. So when the media, not only the arts, but when the media don't see the arts, when the media don't see the people, when the media only seeing crime and politics, that's what we become, when the media not seeing, because that's how we share things, that's how we know we take in, and the media is only telling us we take in on crime and politics. The media not telling us. Where I live, I have a really lovely view of looking out into Laventille, Belmont, and we live in the bush so well. It's like the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, when they're living inside hill. And we live so well in bush. The place is so green. You look down to the city, is green. We don't say that to ourselves. We don't tell ourselves these things. All these steps going up the road, the hills in Belmont, all that kind of civilization that happens, we don't say it to ourselves. We don't reflect that in our literature, in our art. Well, not anymore. For us to say, oh, real cool and truth. Kind of cool. and again, the support for the arts and sciences to delve into those things, to bring yourself to this. We don't have it. We're not having it, and we're having all kinds of superficial little dumbnesses to get little political little mileages, and it eats a piece of you away every time they do these strange things when it's not real.
How are you going to explore some of these themes in COCO Dance Festival this year?
The festival,
go ahead.
being choreographers that submit work for consideration, and then the work is selected and put on, you have to see, because how choreographers are dealing with the world around them, with work, with the bodies around them that they have.
But specifically what I was going to say is that you have a lot of the young choreographers I find dealing with very, very serious themes. And that I even joked with them the other day when we had a production meeting. I said, "You're a real deep boy." deep. So this notion that the young person is not thinking about X is completely wrong. They're thinking about it in a different way, but they are thinking about it, and they're looking at the issues and the emotional tensions that they're experiencing in the world. So they may not be as literal as people might think that they might be, but they are certainly dealing with the emotions and the stresses of isolation, of disappointment, of all sorts of different types of emotions that are beautifully expressed in these dances. So they're not, then again, you're not going to come and see somebody with their head putting their head in their hand, and oh my God. It's not about that kind of literalism, but it really is about that whole notion of how do I use my craft, my ability to choreograph, to express what I'm feeling myself. And that's the thing about contemporary movement and contemporary dance in general. It is that safe space. Once you take it, it's your safe space to express yourself in any way. And the dances are beautifully crafted as well. It's not all of them that are sad and morose or whatever it is, but they are very intense, and they're very beautifully executed.
And that we have that fair. That fair came up on us maybe just in the late 90s there, where oh God, we need to see something light. It's interesting because I find you watch a movie, and you're getting there and you're crying and you say, oh God, that was good. Because you felt a depth in yourself that a silly movie just kind of brought out of you, and it's good. So, and not real too, huh? Oh God, not real, it was real good. Classical music and all of those things that dig deep into you, and you say, oh my God, I don't know how I feel in this. These dances, and some of them very, 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 very comic, very humorous, and then some of them are just dances that explore music, and then some of them are which is what the nourishment to come to see. Dances that explore shapes. So you have things that are happening with bodies, between bodies, and things that are patterned, and you can just look, and there's so many ways that people explore art and expression and music and bodies and etc. And so many young people as well.
I find dance very intimidating to watch, like contemporary dance. And someone was talking, we were having this discussion. She said she finds it so strange. Everyone can dance, but for some reason audiences seem to feel of the arts, dance is the hardest to understand, or the most intimidating. What do you say to that?
No, it's not a tricky thing. It's quite clear. It's the fact that it's non-verbal and it's abstract, and people don't know what to make of it because it's not literal. So what people need to do is slough away those fears. It doesn't matter if you don't get what I was trying to say, and because a lot of people have come to me and said, I don't know what that dance was about, but I really like it, and they're almost apologetic that they didn't understand. But if in your heart you felt something, in your mind, in your body, whatever it is, then I've done my job. You didn't have to know exactly what was in my head when I was making it. You have to feel something. You have to take look at it and see if you can understand or get an idea of what it is for you, first of all, as opposed to what I was trying to do. If the two of us are on the same page, that's fine, but if we're not, that's also fine. And that is what I find a lot of people have said to me before. They're like, well, I didn't understand it. And again, they're very upset at themselves that they didn't understand it. It's okay. What did you get out of it? And there are things in human nature and the human condition that make you, that generate or prompt certain emotions to come out. So you might see something and you might want to cry, and I might see the same thing and I might want to laugh. I don't know, because it triggers something in you. So once you are happy with how you look at it, it's fine.
But you know that a lot of very big and qualified artists still go see shows, because you don't know what you're gonna get. So it's still, the intimidation is, it's just that some people are more educated about the thing. They're more experienced, so they can go through it, navigate it better. But that's what you go for, because there is an anticipation, there is a heightened, what is it that I'm going to look at, what am I looking at? And no one gets beyond that sense that I will go to a dance show and I will understand everything. I'll go to every art show, I'll get everything, that's because I'm now qualified and I get it. No. And that's the engagement. You go and you explore, and you learn skills as well, to look at things, ways to see work as well. But dance is kind of intimidating because it's a skill level that is so interesting. Like, you have a ballerina standing on her toes and she's doing all of those things, and it's meant to look effortless, but it's also meant to look like you in that audience better know that you can't do this. you can't do this. This is real. You can't do this. But so there's that world that it's meant to look.
Yeah, there's virtuosity
simple.
in it. Okay, so you can't do it, I can do it, or maybe you could do it with a little practice, whatever. But you know that there's a virtuosity element to it. But really and truly, it's more of the emotion, especially in contemporary dance. It's more about the emotion. How do I make you feel? People can have their leg at 6 o'clock, straight up in the air, and be turning while they're doing it, and it may not emote anything. Okay, so what is it that makes you feel something about this dance? Okay, and yes, of course, you recognize the virtuosity and the ability of the dancers, but what is it that makes you feel?
Thank you for joining us. That was Conversations with Cnews. I'm Soini Gray. See you next time.